Fallout 4 has a number of unique and legendary weapons that each make the game a blast to play, and every Fallout 4 player should have these weapons. And in this video I will go through 21 unique and legendary weapons that you should get when playing Fallout 4. Hi, I'm Mo and I'm trapped in Fallout. Now, when watching this video, make sure to watch through it from start to end in order, because the locations that I will refer to will also refer to previous locations for point of reference. And the first location we're going to go to is Walden Pond, which is directly south of Sanctuary. Once you make it here, from here, what you want to do is just head east into the pond. And as you do that, over here should be an entrance. Just go ahead and go inside. Once inside, just go straight and stick to the right. And as you do that, you should sort of emerge in this area over here. Now do be careful, there are some raiders here that you need to take care of. Again, just carry on down, staying on the right hand side. And as you do that, you'll come to this large storage like area. And from here, go up the stairs and look right next to this toolbox and you will find our first unique weapon, Big Jim. Big Jim is a melee type of weapon and it has a 20% chance to cripple target's legs. This is really a useful weapon because no matter where you hit on the enemy, you have a chance to cripple them, effectively slowing them down. This should be one of the first weapons that you get. From Walden Pond, we are now going to head northeast to Drumlin Diner. Once here, you will find a bit of a standoff going on. What you want to do is go ahead and speak to this NPC over here and just go ahead and select the offer help option. And next, select the talk to Trudy option.
I'll talk to her.
What you now want to do is go inside the diner and speak to Trudy. When asked, what you want to do is go ahead and select the end peacefully option. So this is a speech check that you will need to pass. And once passed, what this will do is now basically resolve this situation that they have here. And after that, go ahead and speak to Trudy again and select the barter option. So this might take a couple of seconds to get going. But once you have that, you should be able to then look at her inventory. So she appears to be ready now. And when looking into her inventory, you will find the General Chao's Revenge weapon. Go ahead and purchase it. This weapon does 50% more damage against robots. This is a particularly good weapon to have early on, especially if you happen to be playing the Automatron DLC, where there are basically 90% of the enemies are all robots. This will definitely help you do that significant more amount of damage and help you on your playthrough. From Drumlin Diner, we are now going to head all the way south across the river all the way to Vault 81. Once you get to the entrance to Vault 81, just go ahead and go inside. Once inside, what you want to do is go ahead and access this panel over here, effectively opening up Vault 81. And when you do that, you will be approached by an NPC who will ask you about whether you actually should be able to get into the vault or not. Over here, you will basically have two options. So there's the speech check. So you will have two options. Go ahead and just say that you're from Vault 111 and then say that you're just a traveler. And from here, eventually you will be asked, or rather a trust check will be done to see whether you should be allowed in or not. From here, you have a speech check to say that to help a vault dweller out. If not, you can try and get in using fusion cores, but that is just another way of getting in. So either way, either get in by using the speech check or by saying the I need details options to get in via fusion cores. We're going to go ahead with the speech check. And that's passed in this instance, and with that you should then eventually be able to get into the vault. Once inside the vault, you will need to speak to the overseer. Again, there's nothing specific that you need to do here. Just go ahead and basically just select any neutral options, so not anymore. What you want to do is just go ahead and sort of skip through this. Again, totally up to you. You can explore this dialogues with the overseer at your leisure, but to get this next weapon, this really isn't needed. What you just want to do is just go ahead and get the speech over with. Once the speech check has finished, or rather once your dialogue with the overseer has finished, go through this pathway over here, open the sliding door, and then go into this elevator here. You might need to press this button to call the elevator, and then go ahead into the floor below. Once you make it to the ground floor, from here what you want to do is just stick to the right, and you want to go into this here, the depot. And from here, you should find an NPC called Alexa, who doesn't appear to be here. In fact, in my game, she appears to be glitched in the wall, but that's okay. Go ahead and speak to Alexis, rather. And eventually, she will give you the option to barter. So once you have the ability to barter, what you want to do is go into her current weapon selection. And if you go ahead and look at her weapon selection, she will have on her the Overseer's Guardian. Go ahead and purchase that. The Overseer's Guardian is perhaps one of the best sniping weapons the game has to offer. Even though you can get it relatively early on, it fires really good bullets, and the cool thing about it is it fires an additional projectile. So this weapon is really good for sniping based builds. It will effectively take out enemies from a long range, especially if you happen to have the right perks for this. But this is an essential weapon for almost every Fallout 4 player. Make sure you get this one. After purchasing the Overseer's Guardian, the next place you want to go to is actually right outside of Vault 81, and you want to come and meet this NPC here called Cricket. Now Cricket is not always available here. She actually wanders around the outskirts of Diamond City. So if you don't find her here, you may find her sort of just outside of Diamond City. What you can do is just come here and then sleep in this bed for 6 hours at a time, and every 6 hours just sort of get out of bed and see if she has spawned here. If she still doesn't, sadly this might mean that Cricket may have been killed by another NPC, like Super Mutants for instance, but chances are if you do this early enough in the game, you will find her. Anyway, once found, go ahead and speak to her, and again go into the barter option, and from here what you want to do is go into weapons, and the weapon you're after is this, the Spray and Pray. Go ahead and purchase it. The Spray and Pray is one of the best weapons you can get early on in the game. It doesn't do a significant amount of damage on its own, but its legendary effect, i.e. bullets exploding on impact doing 15 points of area effect damage, will basically carry you all the way potentially to the end of your playthrough. When you get this weapon, chances are you will actually end up using this all the way to the end game because of the amount of damage it does. If you also happen to have points in perks such as Demolition Expert, this will do significantly more amount of damage. Instead of 15, I think it bumps it all the way up to 32. And this is per bullet fired. So given that this is somewhat of a machine gun, for each spray of bullets you fire, you'll be doing a significant amount of damage. This is 100% worth getting early on in the game. From Vault 81, what you want to do now is head east directly to Diamond City. Once you make it to Diamond City, and in particular the market, from here what you want to do is go and speak to Arturo, who is this NPC over here. When speaking to Arturo, what you want to do is just go into the barter section. So let's just quickly do that. And once done, go into the weapon section, and from here what you now want to do is look at this weapon, Old Faithful. Go ahead and purchase it. Old Faithful is a unique laser type of weapon, but more importantly what this one will do is do twice the amount of damage when firing on an enemy as long as that enemy has a full health bar. So this is again another really good weapon to have as a sniper weapon almost. So you can convert this into a weapon, a long range weapon in particular, and maybe have some perks to help you do increased damage to sniping, and then you will basically go around taking out enemies as long as they are at full health, which is more likely to be the case. You can also get a second weapon from Arturo, although that one is rather very expensive. Again, let's go into barter. And from here, what you want to do now is go ahead and purchase this, the big boy. So this is going to be pretty expensive. In my game, it's currently 10,000 caps. It's probably going to be closer to 15, 18 in yours. With that said, just go ahead and purchase it. The big boy is a unique Fat Man. And what this will do is fire an additional projectile when firing. So when firing this weapon, instead of firing one nuke, it will fire two, but it would only use one nuke from your own personal ammo inventory. Again, this is a great weapon for doing a significant amount of damage early on in the game. That said, you will need to sell a vast amount of resources and kit and gear to be able to afford this, but given the rarity of mini nukes, if you are able to get your hands on this, you will end up doing a significant amount of damage to enemies when you need it the most. For our next weapon, we're going to make an honorable mention, rather somewhere in the middle of this list. From Diamond City, what you want to do is fast travel back to Sanctuary, or rather, what you want to do is actually go to Red Rocket, and from there go ahead and pick up Dogmeat. Chances are, if you don't know who Dogmeat is, he is a companion. The moment you go to Red Rocket, you will find Dogmeat. Just go ahead and pick him up, and once you pick him up, go back to Vault 111. Once you're back inside Vault 111, what you want to do is ask Dogmeat to go and sort of stand just over there. And when you do that, go ahead and speak to Dogmeat, and then use the fetch option. And then from here, what you want to do is select the items option. And from here, Dogmeat should automatically open up that case right over there and grab the Cryolator right from inside the case and bring it to you. Now, he should drop it on the ground, but if it doesn't, go ahead and speak to Dogmeat, go into the trade window, and from there, go ahead and take the Cryolator. And with that, you now have this unique weapon. This is not a legendary weapon because it doesn't have any legendary effect, but it is considered a unique weapon because it's only the one of its kind. What this will do is freeze enemies when you fire on them. Now, the ammo for this weapon is limited, so you do need to be careful when using it. But the great thing about this weapon is it will do a significant amount of damage to any enemy you use it on, and it will basically slow them down, allowing you to, say, switch out to a different weapon and take them out. This one is definitely worth getting. On the assumption that you are still in Diamond City, from here, what you want to do is now head northeast, right over here to Hubris Comics. Once here, just go inside. Once inside, what you want to do is just look immediately ahead of you to the left, and you'll see this display case. You will need to unlock it with, I think, an advanced lock. With that, once you unlock this, go ahead and pick up this weapon, Grognak's Axe. This is another great melee weapon to have. When getting this weapon, it may potentially cause your enemies to stagger when hitting them, and it will do an additional bleed damage. This is a really absolutely great weapon to get early on, given that it's really easy to get as well. You basically walk into the shop, unlock the case, and take it. It's not hidden behind any quest or anything like that. This weapon has the potential to do a lot of damage early on to some of the more earlier weapons, or rather earlier enemies that you will see in the game. It is also worth getting. Next, we are going to head northwest from Hubris Comics across the river all the way to Cambridge Police Station. Instead, if it makes it easier for you, you can head southeast from Walden Pond. Once you make it, you will actually find yourself under attack, or rather the Brotherhood of Steel will find themselves under attack. This is an ideal place to take out your spray and pray and just go to town on all of these feral ghouls. So let's just quickly do that and help out Dance. Once done, Dance will basically thank you for your effort, and what you want to do is basically follow him inside the police station, and eventually he will give you a quest called Call to Arms. What you want to do is follow him along on that quest, and eventually he will take you to a location called Arcjet. Again, it's a very linear quest. What you want to do is follow along into this Arcjet system or Arcjet building, and at the very bottom we will find our next unique weapon. So eventually you will find yourself in this room over here, where you're basically standing underneath what seems to be a rocket-powered boost of sorts, and Dance will ask you to sort of go inside that control room over there. As you do that, so again, this is a very linear quest. There aren't many paths. You will eventually find yourselves in this room. Go ahead, follow this path, and as you do that, you will find yourself with this weapon here, the Junk Jet. So this is not a legendary weapon. It is considered more of a unique weapon because of the number of weapons there are in the game for this, but this is still a really good weapon to have. What this will do is, instead of using ammo, it actually uses junk from your inventory. So when firing this weapon, it will basically allow you to fire all the relevant junks that you find in the game, cups, resources, so on. This is a really nice weapon to have because of its ammo type and because of the damage it does. And it's also really quite fun just seeing you taking out raiders with something like a teddy bear, a really old meme somewhat in Fallout. Make sure you grab this one. The next weapon on this list is actually given to you as part of completing the same quest, Call to Arms. So when you complete this quest, at some point you will find yourself here, where you sort of exited the Arcjet system building. You will then find yourself Dance waiting right outside for you. Go ahead and speak to Dance, and he will give you the new unique weapon called Righteous Authority. So let's go ahead and get that off of Dance. Now this is again another amazing weapon to get early on in the game. What this will do is allow you to do twice the amount of damage with your critical hits. So when performing a critical shot, it will do twice the damage, and it will also fill up your critical meter 15% faster. Now let's just say for whatever reason you don't want to use this weapon to do critical damage, you can still use this weapon to fill up your critical meter faster and then switch out to another weapon if you must. Either way, this is another great weapon to have, especially early on or relatively early on in the game, given by this point you will probably be a few levels in and a few missions in. Make sure you grab this one. Next, we are going to focus on some of the new next gen weapons, and this is now an ideal time to start collecting those weapons, simply because by now you have collected a good number of base weapons such as Spray and Pray, Righteous Authority, Junk Jet, so on. All of these weapons will now help you to go through these quests. So with that, what you now want to do is start this quest, When Pigs Fly. In terms of location, this is actually relatively quite close to our last location, Cambridge Police Station. From Cambridge Police Station, what you want to do is head east here, Kendall Hospital. Now once you make it here, we will need to go and encounter an NPC called Suggs, and from there we will be able to get some of the new next gen weapons. Now something to note is that Suggs as an NPC will always remain in this unmarked location. So to get to him, ideally what you want to do is sort of fast travel here to Kendall Hospital, and from here what you want to do is just head east. So just sort of jump above that truck and keep on going east. And as you do that, when you sort of come to this building over here, from here, again, just follow it through heading east and then go through this pathway over here. And he should be right over here in this building, right over here. So the first weapon we're going to get from him is a weapon that he will actually sell to you. So go ahead, speak to him, and then go ahead and select the barter option. And from here, go into the weapon section, and here the weapon you're looking for is a saw blade. Now this might have a random modification applied to it, but let's just go ahead and see if we can find a saw blade if he has one on him. And there you go, there's the saw blade. Go ahead and purchase that. And in terms of ammo, again, he sells the ammo for this also. The saw blade uses, quite cleverly, saw blades. So go ahead and purchase as many as you can. Now you can get more ammo from him, but ideally to do that you will need to go ahead and wait. So I'll show you how to do that rather quickly. So before I'll look at the weapon with more details, what you want to do is just come here and wait here for I think 12 or 24 hours and then go and speak to Suggs again. Or rather, actually, it'd be better if you go and wait here for 48 hours, then go and speak to Suggs again and he should replenish his ammo stock. With that, let's take a look at the saw blade weapon. So, the saw blade weapon isn't exactly a legendary weapon, but it is a unique weapon, given the number of weapons you'll find for this. What this will do is basically fire saw blades. Now, the great thing about this weapon is when you actually fire the blade, what you can do is actually hold down the weapon before firing off any blade. And what that will do is power up the weapon even more. Even better yet is once you actually fire one of these saws at an enemy, that saw might actually end up sort of lodged or stuck on the enemy. So you can basically go back to the enemy and collect your ammo again. So this has the potential to have a lot of uses in terms of ammo. Now with that, we're going to go ahead and collect our next weapon. To do that, what we need to do is select the terminal. And from here, what you want to do is go ahead and select this customer orders option, or rather the weapon dealers in Monsignor Plaza option. And with that, that will now give you a new marked location. What you want to do is go ahead to that location. The location itself is directly east of Kendall Hospital. So the unmarked location we were in was roughly about here between Kendall Hospital and Cambridge Crater. The location you will be now at is east of that, called Monsignor Plaza. Once you make it to the location, go ahead and go inside. Do be warned though, this area will be filled with raiders, but with that, go inside. Once inside, what you want to do is just hug the wall on the right and just follow it all the way through until you get to a gun shop. So again, just stay on the right hand side and then go up the stairs. And as you do that, you should be at this gun shop over here. Go inside that gun shop and over here, you should find this, the rapid pipe grenade launcher. This is actually a unique weapon as well as a legendary weapon because it has a legendary effect on it. What this will do is fire 40mm frag grenades. You will be able to purchase frag grenades from Suggs also, so that is your source of ammo. This weapon will fire 25% faster and it will reload 15% faster. So make sure you grab this weapon. This is one of the first grenade launchers you're probably likely to come across, and this is by far means a great weapon to have. Make sure you grab this. And with that, also make sure you grab this note, because for our next weapon, we will now need to go back to Suggs. Once you make it back to Suggs, you will actually find that he is actually under siege by an NPC sitting up there on top of the roof. What I'm going to do is just quickly make my way up to the roof, and I'm going to go ahead and just use the spray and pray to take him out. Now do be careful, especially if you're doing this at low level. He is actually carrying a fat man. So once you get up there, just quickly take him out. Just like that. So that wasn't a challenge for me at all. And if you now go and see him, you will find on him two particular things. Piggy Bank launcher bombs, make sure you take them. And you will find the mechanic, or rather the grenade launcher schematics, take that as well. But the thing you're after is this, the Piggy Bank Fat Man. So this is a rather unique weapon. It's not a legendary weapon, it is a unique weapon. What this is basically a modified Fat Man to fire piggy bank mines or piggy bank nukes. This is really good. It's basically considered to be one of the more stronger weapons in the game now because of the amount of damage it does. It basically, instead of firing mini nukes, it fires piggy banks, but these piggy banks, don't let the sort of the appearance of them sort of deceive you. They are crazy devastatingly powerful. Even when landing a bomb on an enemy, the impact doesn't look huge, but these are quite powerful. Make sure you grab this unique weapon, as this will definitely help you along the way. With that, what you now need to do is actually go back downstairs and approach Suggs, and 2 new enemies would have spawned right next to him. And one of these new enemies will actually be carrying another weapon that we want, the baseball grenade launcher. So again, go back to Suggs and you'll find these 2 enemies. Again, the spray and pray made very little work of these enemies. What you want to do is go ahead and grab this weapon, the baseball launcher. And when you do that, make sure you also check these enemies as well, as they are also likely to be carrying some modified baseballs, which is basically ammo for the weapon. The baseball launcher is also another unique weapon. Again, not a legendary, but a unique weapon. But what this will do is fire baseballs. Now, the great thing about it is when firing these baseballs, you can actually have modifications to this weapon where you can fire baseballs also set on fire. This basically almost acts as some kind of unique grenade launcher. This is definitely worth getting if you're into heavy guns. And this will definitely do a lot of damage, and it's worth getting as a next gen weapon anyway. And it's also a new weapon in the game, so why not get it? After picking up the baseball launcher, go and speak to Suggs, and eventually, this might take a few attempts, he will take the grenade schematic launcher from you and he will give you this, the Chinese grenade launcher. This is a legendary weapon, and this is by far means one of the best weapons to get in the game as it currently stands. This is a new next gen weapon, and what this will do is fire 40 frag grenades, or rather 40 frag grenades. So this fires the same ammo type as the pipe grenade launcher that we grabbed earlier, but what this one will do is ignore 30% of your target's damage and energy resistance. In other words, it will ignore 30% of their defenses. Now, given that you can boost the damage of this weapon using perks like Demolition Expert, this has the potential to do a crazy amount of damage. Make sure that you actually definitely stay towards the end of this video, as I will show you, or rather tell you, one particular build that you can use this weapon on to really help you make a massive, almost immortal impact. With that said, make sure you grab this weapon. This is one of the best weapons on this list. Now that we have the Chinese grenade launcher, from Kendall Hospital, we're going to go back across the river southeast all the way to Swan's Pond, which is right over here. In fact, it is also right next to Hubris Comics, which is right over here. So from Hubris Comics, you could just head northeast and you'd be able to get to the same location. Once you make it, here you will actually find a super mutant, or rather a behemoth actually, hiding right there in the water. And he is actually carrying a unique weapon also. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and use the Chinese grenade launcher on him really quickly to take him out. And with that, because he was sleeping, I basically took him out relatively quite easily. The reason we didn't visit this location earlier was because I simply wanted you to have access to a couple of more powerful weapons, because he can definitely give you a lot of trouble. Now that we have access to powerful weapons, what I'm going to do now, taking him out rather, I'm going to go ahead and search him, and on him you will find this unarmed weapon, the Furious Power Fist. This is another really good weapon to have, especially for unarmed build. What this will do is each time you hit an enemy, as long as you hit them consecutively, you will do more damage per hit. So when you hit them the first time, let's just make up some numbers here, you will say do 10 damage. On the second hit, it'll be 20. On the third hit, it'll be 30, and so on and so forth. So as long as you're hitting the same enemy using this weapon each time, and you don't break that chain, you will eventually end up doing so much damage that you'll probably end up taking the enemy out. This is another great weapon to have, so make sure you grab it. Next, we are going to head northeast from Swan's Pond, all the way over here to the Old North Church. Once you make it here, what you want to do is go ahead and go inside. And in this particular part of the video, we're actually going to end up following a quest line to get one of the best pistols in the game. So once you make it, go ahead and go inside. Once inside the church, just head straight and then look to your right, and then go through this door over here all the way down, and it's actually a very linear path from here. You will eventually end up at what looks like to be a wall-mounted rotating dial that is basically locking a door with a passphrase. The passphrase is railroad. We will need to spell out that word, railroad, and then this will unlock a hidden door. So this is that rotating ring, and once we put in the password here, this will unlock this door here, and the password is railroad. So what you want to do is just go ahead and pick the letters. So that's R, A, I, L, R, O, A, D. And if you get it right, you should hear an audio cue, and that door should open up here. And once that's done, if you go through, you will meet the Railroad, a faction in Fallout 4. The important thing here is eventually you will meet another NPC called Deacon, and what you want to do is follow Deacon and he will give you a quest called Tradecraft. After following that quest through, eventually he will take you to a location where he will basically give you the deliverer. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and follow Deacon along until we get to that position in the game. So as said, eventually you will make it to this location. Again, it's a rather long quest, but it is linear regardless. When you get here, Deacon will open this door. So this terminal is inaccessible. You will not be able to open it yourself. You may be able to get to the location, but you won't be able to open it. Once you do that, Deacon will sort of see his fallen comrade, approach Deacon, and then he will give you the deliverer. So let's just wait for that to happen really quickly. And with that, you will now have the deliverer. So as said, this is one of the best pistols the game has to offer. Chances are you will still have this as part of your end game gear by the time you finish your playthrough. This has the improved VATS, hit chance, and 25% less action point cost. It's basically got the VATS enhanced legendary effect applied to it. This weapon uses very little AP points when using this in VATS, and given its ammo type 10mm, you will find a vast amount of ammo for it. For a VATS specific build, this is definitely the weapon to go for, as this will end up doing a lot of damage. You can also combine this with a number of perks, especially sneak perks, that will again boost the amount of damage you do with this weapon. This is by far definitely worth getting. Even if you don't have a pistol build in mind, this is still worth getting because of the amount of times this will probably save you. Next, we're going to grab another next gen weapon, and to do this we're going to accept the quest Crucible. So again, this will be another quest that you will be automatically given when playing Fallout 4 given the next gen update. From a location point of view, what you want to do is head far northeast from the Old North Church. So from the Old North Church, if you head far east, eventually you will make it to this location here, Saugus Ironworks. Once you make it to the location, just go inside. But do be warned, this area will be heavily populated with some heavy raiders, all that will be sort of covering flamethrowers and such. But given that you have very good weapons at this point, this shouldn't really be a big problem. But anyway, go inside. Once inside, you will actually end up following a very linear quest line. Again, it's very easy. Eventually, what you will need to do is come and defeat this NPC over here. So this is the Forged Keeper, and on them will be a note. Take that note, and then that will send you up over there. And eventually, you will again, as said, follow a very linear quest where you'll have to move the Crucible, and you will get access to this power armor that I'm wearing right now that has some flame resistance legs attached to it. Go ahead and take this power armor and then basically jump into here, and from here you'll be able to grab the Ghoul Slayer's Heavy Incinerator. So this is a unique weapon as well as a legendary weapon. It has a legendary effect on it. What this will do is do 50% more damage against ghouls. Now, the 50% more damage against ghouls isn't something to laugh about anyway, but this weapon is still significantly very powerful when used against basically any enemy type. It's a almost upgraded version of the standard flamethrower that you find in the game, and this is definitely worth having. It's probably considered the second or the third strongest weapon in the game currently, the first being the last weapon in this list. So if you want to know what is considered to be the most strongest and OP weapon in the game currently, then wait until the end of this list. With that said, make sure you grab this weapon. This is definitely worth getting. Next, from Saugus Ironworks, we're going to make our way to an unmarked location that is southeast of it. It's right over here. So it is southeast of Saugus Ironworks, and it is directly west of Lynn Pier Parking, and directly east of Finch Farm. So once you make it to this location, what you want to do is get to this place. So it sort of looks like a somewhat underground bunker hidden below a lot of debris. But from here, if I look to my west, I should be able to see Finch Farm. So that's right over there. And if I keep on looking, that's Saugus Ironworks. So I have Saugus Ironworks on my right, and I've got Finch Farm on my left. And from here, this is the place you want to go. So once you make it to this place, just go ahead and go inside. And there should be a door inside. Again, go inside. Once inside, what you want to do is just go down, and you're going to find this puzzle, a button puzzle. The code for this puzzle is right over here, 0451. Now, there are no zeros in this, so a 10 represents a 0. So what you want to do is press this first button from left to right, press this first button 10 times, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you'll get 10 right over here. The next is 4, so go ahead and press this 4 times, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's a 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now finally this one, which is a 1. And as soon as you press this door over here should open. And like that, if you go through, on the floor you will find the gainer. So this is a pretty powerful handgun. It's a type of revolver, and this is definitely worth getting. What this will do is set your targets on fire for 15 points of additional damage. Again, this is definitely worth getting. Given how easy it is to get this weapon, definitely early on, rather, we left it rather late in the list, but this is definitely worth getting. The reason it's late on this list is simply because the location to get this is actually really far out, but by now you have a good selection of weapons, so this one should be relatively easy to get. Next, what we're going to do is head northeast from Sorgus Ironworks, right over here to Dunwich Borers. Now, when you get here, this place will be rather heavily populated with raiders also, but again, it shouldn't really be a problem given that you have weapons such as the Piggy Bank Fat Man, you have the Chinese grenade launcher, and so on. All of these weapons, or rather all of these enemies, should be like putty now. They should be really easy to take care of. Right, so once you get here, from here, what you want to do is just head down this pathway and straight into the tunnel right over there. Once you've done that, what you want to do is just basically head all the way towards the end. So I'm going to try and sprint as best I can. This is, again, a very linear path. Now, what I will probably describe is the enemies in this area. You will find some Taurus and you will find some raiders. They're not relatively too high level, but given the sort of close corridor situation that you're in, at the moment, if you use weapons such as the Chinese grenade launcher, you'll be able to take them out relatively quite easily. Towards the end, you will also encounter some ghouls as well, and they can definitely be a bit of a problem. Again, taking them out from a distance with the Chinese grenade launcher should prove to be very useful. So, what you want to do is, again, just head on this linear path. We want to go all the way down. I think we're more than halfway there already now. And just head in this location. So, through that door over there, and then I think it's take a right from here. And what we're going to do is end up getting a unique knife, and this is again considered to be one of the best knife weapons in the game. It's relatively hard to get because of where it's located. It's located in this area of the game. So once you make it here, from here, what you want to do is now head right and keep on going, and eventually towards the end over there is actually the location for that where you'll find it. Now, something to note is we'll actually jump into water to get this, which is somewhat heavily radiated. So if you happen to have a hazmat suit or power armor, or probably not power armor because you'll sink, but if you happen to have a hazmat suit or some pills that you can take to negate their radiation, go ahead and do that. So from here, we're just going to head straight down. And what you want to do is look for a hole in the wall, which is that over here, and then go straight through, and over here you will find this unique melee weapon, Kremvh's Tooth. Now this is, as said, a really good knife weapon. What you can do is cause your targets to bleed and be poisoned, and on top of that, it also does exceptional damage. Now the really cool thing about this weapon is you can actually take off the Kremvh's Tooth as a modification. You can remove it from this weapon and you can put it on another knife. So let's just say you happen to find another combat knife or a knife that has some legendary effect. You can actually put this on that weapon as well, effectively combining yourself and giving yourself twice the amount of legendary effects. Anyway, with that said, make sure you definitely get this one. This is definitely worth getting. It's one of the best melee weapons the game has to offer. For our last weapon on this list, we're going to go ahead and select the best of 3 quest option. So this is another next gen quest that you will be given when you play Fallout 4. And at the end, we will get what I think is considered to be the most powerful weapon the game currently has to offer. Now, for this weapon, it's going to take us literally to the edge of the glowing sea. So this is far away from any location we've visited thus far. With all of our current weapons we've gotten, we've basically gone on somewhat of a journey, somewhat of a singular path, but for this one we'll have to go all the way to the very bottom left hand corner of the map to the glowing sea. So to get this weapon you will need to be relatively high level, but with that said, you also don't have to be, because by now you've collected a significant number of weapons, all that do a crazy amount of damage. Anyway, with that said, go ahead to the edge of the glowing sea, which is located on the bottom left hand corner of the map. Now once you make it here, what you will end up doing is basically following a radio distress signal. So let's just go ahead and do that really quickly, and I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the very last part of that signal. Now as you're traveling this place, you will basically end up finding fallen NPCs, and what you will do is access those NPCs and then use your Pip-Boy to download some data from those NPCs. And as you download data from those NPCs, the signal distress location will change, eventually taking you to one last location. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and skip to that location right now. So this is the final location that you will get to. Now, before we search our final NPC, which is this NPC over here, note the moment we do that, an NPC will spawn somewhere around here, and that NPC will be carrying our final weapon, and it is just as devastating to use from that NPC's point of view also. If you happen to be a low level that I currently actually am at, I think I'm level 5 or 7 or something, the NPC will potentially take me out with just a few hits. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make sure that I equip my grenade launcher ready to take him out. So go ahead and download the Pip-Boy data from this NPC, and as you do that, basically run away, because that NPC would have spawned. There you go, that fired that first shot on me, so that's the NPC right over there. And what I'm going to do is try and snipe him out by throwing grenades close enough to him to do damage to him. So again, he's trying to kite me, but I can do the same thing. And with that, I've now taken him out. And now if I go ahead and look at the weapon, it is the famous Tesla cannon. So the Tesla cannon isn't a legendary weapon. It doesn't have any legendary effects. It's a unique weapon. And I think there's another 1 or 2 in the game, given the type of quests that are in the next gen update. But with that said, this is by far the most powerful weapon in the game. It's powerful for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's sheer amount of power. And second, if you happen to modify it and attach the beacon to it, you will basically end up doing a crazy amount of daisy-chained damage across all enemies. Anyway, make sure you grab this weapon as the last weapon, because this is definitely by far the hardest one to get. And with that, that now completes my 21 essential weapons that every Fallout 4 player should 100% get. In this video, I went through what I think are the 21 best weapons to grab in Fallout 4, whether they're unique or legendary. Without a shadow of doubt, these weapons will make your time in the Kremvh so much more fun, easier, and probably devastating. That said, why not also become an immortal tank, or rather an almost immortal tank, using some of these weapons? Check out the video you see on the screen now, and I'll show you how to build an almost immortal tank build in Fallout 4. Click on the video you see on the screen now to find out more.